You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for tuning in this morning to another edition of Inside Automotive right here at cbtnews.com. Joining us today is Ahmed Iqbal, who is the head of industry for automotive for Tik Tok, to share how dealers are tapping into the platform, what trends he's seeing today, and what the future of automotive marketing might look like. So thank you so much, Ahmed, for joining us on the show today.
Appreciate it, Jim. So excited to be here. Excited to talk to all the dealer partners you have out there listening.
Sure. So there's a lot of people wondering what's the future of TikTok. You know, is this something that's going to be around? And if so, how much of a role should our dealership and our staff play on TikTok? I am a huge TikTok fan. I think that that's the disclaimer here. My wife will tell you that I'm on it 24 hours a day, but it's probably only more like 15 or 16 hours a day. But but it's a great platform. I enjoy it very much. And so talk to us. I mean, you guys have emerged as a powerful platform out there for digital marketing. How are you seeing auto dealers use the platform to engage with customers and drive sales?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I think it's one that, I think it's really important as I've worked, actually like yourself, I started out in the dealer business. My first job was working at a Honda dealer while I was in college. So it kind of foreshadowed my future in the automotive industry. But one of the things I've always known is dealers are always looking for that competitive edge, right? What's next? How do I beat the dealer next door? And how do I provide the best possible service for my customer in the way you want it? So what are we seeing on TikTok, right? I think there's two things that dealers are doing really well. I think you got to bucket it in one camp of what are they doing organically, and then secondly, what are they doing strategically with paid media and taking advantage of the platform and their tools. So I think the first thing, from an organic perspective, we're seeing really awesome content that dealers themselves are creating. Right, you can see the Mohawk Chevrolet, which was a national sensation, right? They created a really polished piece of content, which mirrored one of our fan favorite shows of all time. I think everyone loved The Office, whether it's the US version or British version. Everyone likes one version, right? And they did a great, fantastic job of really harnessing the power of the platform and, tapping into a trend and creating their own great content. So that's one way to do it, right?
For sure.
The other thing is viral content. A dealer like Central Houston Nissan did a fantastic job of seeing what trends were popping on TikTok, what videos were popping, and made their own recreations of those videos. And so they were able to hack the viral, the viral flow and the virality of content and be a part of the conversation. And then most of all, now those are like extreme awesome cases. If you're a dealer that's like, I want to win on this platform and create my own content, that's one way to do it. But if you're like, you know what, I'm not the super savvy dealer on creating TikTok content, but I do want to get my feet wet. You have a ton of great sales and service folks on the platform using it for education, using it for customer support and customer mining and customer relationships, right? Doing walkarounds and sharing that content, doing multi-point inspections in the drive and sharing that content to help educate consumers. So I think that's the organic piece. That's like step one.
Sure.
The other side, right? The paid media side. I think that's where we can talk a little bit about as well is there's a whole playbook, right, of what we're telling dealers to do. And we'll talk a little bit about this, but we just launched a product specifically for dealers called automotive inventory ads, which puts, essentially takes the car and puts it their specific dealer inventory and puts it right in front of the consumer.
And can you do that on a geographic basis? So if I'm a dealer in Atlanta, I can buy or that area of those TikTok users in my market?
Absolutely. That's the whole point, right? To make sure it's dealer friendly in the way they do consumer targeting. So not only can you do it from a geo-specific, we'll actually help you and tell you who our in-market consumers are, right? And so I think one of the things we'll talk about scale in a second of TikTok. I think it's important to touch base on that. But 1/3 of the consumers on TikTok are saying that they are in market, and we're helping you target those exact consumers in your location, in your area, and give you some signals on what cars they're interested in, so you can give them the exact right inventory.
Right. Yeah, there's the president seems to have gone. President Trump's gone kind of back and forth on the whole TikTok issue, right? I mean, he was it's got to go. It's a Chinese owned and what have you, and then all of a sudden he said, not so fast. A lot of voters came in through TikTok that put me in office. Where does that stand today?
I can't speak on the specifics. Obviously, I'm not in those rooms. But what I can say is that, the organization, we're very optimistic about the future, and we're seeing a lot of enthusiasm and excitement from our clients and partners. So that gives us the confidence, not just internally, but externally, that everyone wants TikToks to stay. So it seems like it's in a positive trajectory. And honestly, I'm not a lawyer or in those important rooms. So this as much as I know.
Yeah, there's a lot of people making a lot of money on TikTok. I mean, it's whenever this issue comes up, they're like, "Hey, you got to, back off. What's the problem?" I'm making thousands of dollars every month as a TikTok reseller of products or whatever the case might be, right? I mean, it's
Absolutely. It's a home to small business. It's a home to creators. There's a multitude of ways to monetize it. I think at the end of the day, it's always that comes back to that question of like, is the product creating value, right?
hmm
Is there something intangible there? And you yourself, you're spending 16 hours a day on the platform while you're not doing this awesome show. And I myself, right, I'm watching at least a movie's worth of time, worth of content on there, as is the average American.
yeah,
So I think it goes back to that. It's like, is it providing a net value for people? And the scale of the platform, we're at 170 million users now in the US. 170,
170 million,
that's like half the population of the country.
right?
So if half the population of the country is spending like not, a movie's worth of time every day. There's something special there. And if people are also making money in businesses and livelihoods on there,
Right.
there's something special there.
So, what do you think of these ads, or not ads, but what do you think of these videos that you see from salespeople? You got company or people like Russ Flips Whips out there, and so many others like him that put on these funny videos at the dealership level that drive, just thousands of views, in some case millions of views. But I mean, that's really become quite a little project for these individuals that are working at dealerships to get their
Oh,
name out there.
absolutely, Jim. I think one of the fascinating things, and something I learned when I worked at the dealer, it was my first job, right? And I got the good fortune of being able to sell a car, and I learned very quickly the magic of selling a car. There's many things, but having an entertaining and educating walk around
Yeah,
is everything, right?
yeah,
Showing the customer how to get excited, how to use the vehicle,
sure,
what the story of the brand is, what the experience of their expectation will be while owning that vehicle, and who the dealer is in that relationship. Like they're your local community spot for your
yeah,
engagement with this brand. And I think that is the magic of what people are doing on TikTok. They're bringing that sense of excitement, enthusiasm, and education through a platform that people wanted, right? It's
right,
one thing walking in on a Saturday afternoon because you have time and you're like, it's on our list of things to do. It's another thing when you're going into a platform specifically with the intention to find something exciting,
hmm
to be in a search mindset of looking for discovery, and then being met with high quality content and hitting that point, right? And I think the sales folks that are using the platform that are really getting it, they're crushing it. They're being entertaining, they're educating, and they're doing the right thing for their community and consumer, but also the right thing for their dealer and the brand.
sure. Will we see other products coming out of the TikTok camp that, whether it be for longer videos or any other kind of programs that you're working on that would be dealer specific?
Yeah, so I think the main thing is expanding. First, I think the first thing we got to do is make sure all the dealers are aware that we have this automotive ads solution out.
hmm
Make sure that they're comfortable with it. By the way, we built that in partnership with dealers. It was not something we cooked up and then we threw out there. It's past a year and a half, we've been beta testing it with a bunch of dealers,
Wow.
or groups. So there's a lot of iterations to come on that product alone, right? So right now, it's the whole goal of it is getting the right inventory in front of the right person at the right time.
Right.
We're going to add pieces to that, and we just launched what we call Smart Plus. It's essentially our AI tool that will help automate the targeting and the optimization and the flighting of your campaigns.
Okay.
Long story, the whole goal of it is to drive costs down for dealer per lead, right? That's what we're trying to do.
Okay.
And success with automotive ads with that in the past, and a lot of the innovation coming forward is going to build on that platform of following the user behavior. Why are they coming to TikTok,
hmm
right? To learn, to see about
Right.
content that is going to be related to a vehicle purchase, and engaging, building products that engage that user behavior to help dealers do that.
Sure. Do you have any numbers as to what roughly the percentage of users or consumers are turning to TikTok for research and decision making? What does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I think even before we get into that, I think I want to dispel a myth, right? And I've talked to a couple dealers, and one of the first questions they ask me is like, "Yeah, you guys got a lot of people on the platform, but it's all kids." And I think it's really important to highlight that you and I are not kids, Jim,
I
and
am
we're on
not
the
kids.
and it's not just us, right? Actually, more than of the 170 million, more than 30% are over the age of 40, right?
Okay.
So, and nearly 50% if you go down to the let's say core millennial age of between that 33, 35. Once you bring that filter down a little bit, we're almost half the platform is at that age group.
Yeah.
So it's no longer just kids. And we're in the full consumer space. So
Yeah.
now to answer your direct question of, what's the percentage of people coming? about 56% of people come to watch reviews and discover new vehicles.
Okay.
So half are coming to do that, and 1/3 of them, like I said before, are in market for a car, and that's why they're coming.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's been a number of years now that you guys have kind of shaken the "it's just for kids" moniker, right? I mean, so many of my contemporaries, and I'm a grandfather, so I mean, not that my grandkids are on it. I mean, maybe they are. Maybe my 9-year-old grandson is taking a look at it every now and then. But for the most part, all of my contemporaries are on TikTok and watching TikTok videos and such, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. So, any tips in terms of what you can share, or strategies for dealers that can maximize their presence on TikTok immediately?
Yeah, I think first thing is don't be afraid to test and try. This is not one of those places where you need to be perfect. In fact, we encourage the non-perfect, right? Try it, see how it works. First thing, download the app if you don't have it. Use it, get interested and understand how the different topics, the
Mm-hmm.
different types of things you can be interested in, and the different type of content that pops up. Then I would say talk to the sales team and think and use their ideas, because a lot of these folks are already hip to the game. They know how TikTok works. They know how they want to add value, and allow them to jump on the platform and do their thing.
Right.
And then is understand the key facts, right? We have a ton of scale. We have a ton of users that are showing you they have the consumer behavior of searching. We
Mm-hmm.
have the in-market audience, and now we have a playbook. So as far as tips and tricks, you can reach out to a team. We have a dealer team that's like here to help and say, hey, we'll show you how to go from using your existing content and your videos and your images and
Mm-hmm.
plugging them into TikTok and running your basic automotive ads. We can help you with that. So I think test and try, download the app, and honestly reach out to TikTok. Well, we're here to help.
That's great. That's great. I don't know that many dealers knew that, so that's awesome. Ahmed Iqbal, head of industry for automotive at TikTok. Thank you so much for stopping in to CBT News and sharing your perspective on this, what I think is a great platform. But of course, I'm a user every day. But thank you so much for stopping by. Really appreciate it. I know our dealers will get a lot out of our conversation.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate you having me on, and thank you so much for everything you're doing.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, take care.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.